Warner Brothers is releasing a special Nightmare on Elm Street OG in 4K UHD, ultra high definition.
Next up, Russ and I give our review of A Nightmare on Elm Street in 4K. Welcome back to 4K Kings. My name is Matt.
I am Russ.
And welcome to your home of physical media, movie reviews, and so much more.
And if you still aren't subscribed to us, make sure you do so right away. The day Matt and I hit 10K subs, Orson Welles has agreed to stop by and redecorate this studio for us.
We're back to review a title that has been long awaited, long sought after in the 4K format. Almost 10 years since the format has kicked off, we're just now finally getting A Nightmare on Elm Street. And today we're here to review this film in honor of this release. We're also going to talk about the physical media release itself. We're going to unbox it. We're going to talk about the quality of the materials, what comes inside, how this thing looks now that it's been restored in 4K high definition.
Ultra high definition.
1984 film, written and directed by Wes Craven, about a group of teenagers who are targeted by an undead killer who can murder people in their dreams, in case you had no idea what this movie was about. Craven had been directing since about the 70s. He started off with Last House on the Left and The Hills Have Eyes, starring Robert Englund, Heather Langenkamp, John Saxon, and Johnny Depp in his debut. Critics and audiences loved it. It's been noted as one of the best horror films ever made, went on to dominate pop culture, and to this day, 40 years later, we're still talking about it, still praising it.
We have to praise it like we should. You know, it's Jordan Peele's favorite horror movie of all time.
The greatest horror villain of all time, Freddy Krueger. Let's just say it, Nightmare on Elm Street, greatest horror movie of all time.
Performances, cinematography, soundtrack, pacing, villain, like there's just so many things that are just working here, and also in a very original way too. This is what Wes Craven wrote about the character of Freddy. Freddy stands for the worst of parenthood and adulthood, the dirty old man, the nasty father, and the adult who wants children to die rather than help them prosper. He's the boogeyman and the worst fear of children, the adult that's out to get them, that evil, twisted, perverted father figure that wants to destroy and is able to get them at their most vulnerable moment, which is when they're asleep. Like when you think about that, that like cuts to the core as far as like a villain's concerned.
It cuts to the core of everything.
Yeah.
You can't escape sleep. So it's a universal. If you are a human being, you can relate to A Nightmare on Elm Street. Then you throw Freddy Krueger in there, who is just as he described, not only the evil, but he takes such glee and passion. He enjoys his work. So when you put that together, it's magic.
The other things that he describes too that just give you that scuzzy feeling is like the nasty father, the dirty old man, the perverted, like that kind of stuff, coupled with someone who's out to kill you. There's just like a gross, yucky feeling to what he represents.
Gross. I think that's better than ominous. I think the character is gross.
Yeah.
And I think that's also when we were children and we were kids of the 80s, which was the height of Freddy Krueger's popularity. Yeah. It was that gross factor. Michael Myers, Jason, they were blank. True. Freddy Krueger was gross.
That weasel Robert Englund.
And he had personality because he could talk, and the other ones did not. They were just silent killers. And the one thing that Freddy also does, and he does it in this movie, but it becomes more prevalent in later ones, is where, he messes with perception of reality and dreams. So like, sometimes you don't know, am I dreaming versus is this reality? And like all of a sudden you think, oh, this is all normal. And then Freddy's there because this is really, oh, gotcha, you were asleep. It messes with the audience. It messes with the characters.
And it's the ultimate caveat because anything can happen in a dream.
Yeah, he does. Freddy rules.
His nature, his look, his voice, even his weapon, which I love the fact that they show him like building it. You see this man building this like crazy knife glove. Yeah. This is how you kick it off. Like that's pretty badass.
And also, I cannot be the only kid out there who made a real replica. Me and my friend, we got some sharp knives. We found a glove. I don't even remember how, but we made it.
That being said, about Freddy the villain, it doesn't work unless you have the right person in the role. And the character of Freddy is not a big person. He's like just a regular guy. So what, kind of brings him to life even more is just his
gangster.
I mean,
and I'm being honest, he's doing Cagney a little bit.
Sometimes his voice is in the distance, or he's just kind of saying someone's name, the close up on his mouth where he's like flicking his tongue. All that kind of stuff requires the right actor.
I'd always put a guttural spin on the Freddy voice. On the early films, the early Nightmare films, they would fool around in the sound mix, slowing it down a little bit. So if I said, "Welcome to prime time, bitch!" it would come out, "Welcome to prime time, bitch!"
Let's talk about the rest of the cast. The teens were normal. Yeah. They weren't super hot. That became more of a thing in later slasher films where like everybody's hot, every single guy, girl, they're all hot. These are just normal people.
And honestly, when you think about it, this was probably the most challenging role Johnny Depp ever did. He has to play normal.
My daughter said, "Dad, Johnny Depp." I said, "Really? But he looks kind of sickly and pale." He says, "He's beautiful."
John Saxon.
My man.
Is that like a toupee? I mean, he's got presence. Don't get me wrong. He's got presence despite him being an absentee father, but that toupee is working.
John Saxon is just a hard man. There's no prosthetics going on. That's life. That's when you have too much goddamn testosterone flowing through your fucking blood for 40, 50 years.
Your hair runs away.
It was funny, he arrived at the first makeup session with 2 little boxes and he opened them up and there were hair pieces. He said, "Would you like this one? It's a little bit more full, or this one I look a little bit more aged."
I met the man too. He was intimidating as fuck. Dude, he was like 90 years old. He scared the shit out of me.
Really?
I look scared. He looks angry. It's hilarious. The mom is just, whoa, on another level. Bombshell, sexy MILF.
Ronnie Blakely? Ronnie? How do you say her name?
I call her mommy.
You're sick. There's something wrong with you.
She definitely has the most overt, sultry, sexual nature of any character in this movie. She's so like breathy and she's...
Yeah. When I sat down and watched it, I was 10. I'm gonna do the math. I'm watching this countless times. I'm 10, 11, 12. I'm developing into a man. I just picked up on like you said, like, wow, she's like very breathy. She has a lot of makeup on in certain scenes. The funeral scene, like, damn, what are you going to after this?
Come down to the cellar with me and I'll tell you.
A lot of nightgowns, a lot of boozing. Like I said, you put it all together and this woman is a temptress.
No, baby, I'm gonna stop drinking.
One of the most iconic horror scores of all time, Charles Bernstein. Definitely a very ominous, memorable score. I feel like it heightens the feeling of everything that's going on. It keeps the dreamlike nature of what's going on. Same thing with the cinematography. When things are real hazy looking sometimes and there's some smoke.
It does have a great look.
I feel like when I watch this movie, unlike Halloween and unlike any of the Friday the 13th I watched, I just feel like dread in these movies, whereas I don't really feel dread in those other ones. It just feels a little bit more ominous, a little bit more creepy. Just that music, that score, maybe that's like one of the biggest highlights next to Halloween's original song. Yeah. I feel like the most iconic horror song of all time is this.
So I'd put Exorcist above this. And I'm a huge Nightmare on Elm Street fan. I never found the score to be that iconic. I think the 1-2 Freddy's Coming for You is more iconic than the actual musical motifs. Yeah.
That you think?
I'm not saying it's bad.
No, but you don't think it's memorable?
I'm just saying I don't think it's at the level of anything Carpenter's done. I don't think it's at the level of Tubular Bells, Psycho. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I wouldn't put it in top 10.
No, not even top 10. Dude, as far as memorable horror...
You and I differ on goddamn
memorable
scores,
horror theme, I'll give you Halloween. That's like, you hear that, you know instantly
Friday,
what it is.
Even I think is more memorable than Nightmare on Elm Street.
Agree to disagree.
I think if you took a poll of random casuals, more people would recognize than they would
I couldn't disagree more.
The next thing you know, you could be on a jet bound for Daytona with the Beastie Boys.
To sum up, why is this your favorite horror movie or one of your favorite horror movies of all time?
It's definitely my favorite horror movie of all time. On a personal basis. I watch The Shining or The Exorcist or countless others. I see that they are better films than Nightmare on Elm Street. Not that Nightmare on Elm Street is anything to sneeze at, but I see its flaws. I don't know why this story connected with me so hard. I thought at 10 years old, the idea that you hold on to something in a dream and when you pull it out, it's in the real world now. So now it's vulnerable and you can fight back. I thought that was the most brilliant concept I had ever heard. This is my 10-year-old self thinking like, oh my God, this is brilliant writing, you know? And it is. Like, it is a great story.
And Freddy's electrifying for a little kid too.
Of course. It was almost like you were challenging yourself to, you know, like, oh, can I sit through this? And then when you did, you ended up laughing and having fun with it as well, especially in the sequels.
I thought the script was quite inferior, and I had a lot of notes, and they said, we just want to shoot this, so off they went.
There are things that you could say that there's some flaws to it or whatever, and I think one of the bigger issues that even Wes Craven has with it is the ending.
With the ending that we now have, it doesn't quite make sense.
It doesn't bother me necessarily. Like, I don't think it had ever bothered me. Knowing the behind the scenes and what they wanted to do and how they were forced to change some things, I do think put a little bit of a different spin on it for me when I do watch it now, knowing what I do know, but it never bothered me.
You know why? Because there were 5 other sequels by the time you watched it. We can all contextualize it now, and it's not as troublesome because, I mean, Freddy, not only in sequels, he made albums, he had telephone hotlines, he had plush dolls, everything. So it doesn't feel as gratuitous now, but imagine watching this movie in 1984, falling in love with everything, and you see the class in it, and then you see this beautiful mom you've been fantasizing about the entire time gets sucked through a peephole.
I just felt that the ending to the movie didn't send the audience out with any great excitement.
And he and I had lots of arguments.
Wes Craven did not want to add on anything beyond a happy ending. Like, he literally wanted it to end with them walking out, her getting in the car and driving off. But it was Robert Shea, the producer, who saw the franchise potential. You got to think, Friday the 13th was already kicking off. Shea saw
money.
He saw money. And he said, well, you just ended on a happy ending. And that's nah, I want a teaser. Like, basically, you're trying to say there was no other way to continue this on as a franchise without ruining the ending.
So go behind Craven's back. Let him do what he wants, but then make it a franchise anyway, Bob Shea.
You fucked up his ending, and you made it a franchise against his wishes.
I don't think that there was a real conversation about Wes doing Nightmare 2 because he and Bob had such a stressed relationship. It was a long time before I think they spoke to each other.
Bob Shea even realized we kind of ended this on a weird note. Let me go back to you, Wes. Do whatever you want. This can be your true sequel. We'll end it the way you want it. And that was Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
When you hear them say it's one of the best horror movies of all time, when you think about the staying power that it has, the impact that it had, audience and critics loved it. It was an instant commercial success, spawned a franchise, permeates pop culture, as we already said. The sequel came out the next year, and pretty much there was a sequel every year or every other year, becoming more of the jokester and the one-liner type. I always loved that he really utilized the word bitch a lot. That was like his calling card cuss word.
Welcome to prime time, bitch. I've been guarding my gate for a long time, bitch. We'll see, bitch. Bon appetit, bitch. Let me handle this, bitch. Welcome to my world, bitch. Think you're so smart, huh, bitch?
I don't think it's as glaring of a transition as people make it out to be. I think it's there in the original. I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy. This is God. I know
that's a little creepy when he says that.
It is, but I think it was there. And then exactly what you said happened. It just got bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
I think England got more freedom. And I love it.
I do too.
Love it.
It's the only horror franchise I've seen all the movies. Like, I haven't seen all the Child's Plays, all the Halloweens, all the Friday the 13th, even all the Hellraisers. Like, there are so many that I've never seen all of. I've seen every one of these.
We're feeling that glee with Robert Englund performing this.
Yeah.
We're enjoying watching him ham it up because we're enjoying him enjoying hamming it up. That's the magic.
And that's why he basically was everywhere. TV shows, MTV, on clothing, board games. They had a Nightmare on Elm Street television show. They did so much stuff with him. He, again, permeated pop culture. He was everywhere.
He had an album.
this Freddy?
This series continued on to have a life of its own. Wes Craven jumped off the franchise for a minute. He continued his career with Deadly Friend, Shocker, People Under the Stairs. Came back for New Nightmare in 1994. And then, I guess you could say maybe breathed even more new life into his career with Scream. 2010, Michael Bay's horror remake machine, Platinum Dunes, remade your childhood, Russ.
Worst day of my life.
The goal was to reboot the franchise, by the way, which, I mean, I'm sure that's what they hoped for. And according to Michael Bay, bring the film back to its horror roots. No more comedy. We got to make it darker. It was instantly panned, loathed, and basically discarded. Jackie Earle Haley, I think he was contracted for like 3 films, but to date, no further films in this franchise reboot have been made.
I think the problem with the reboot was in timing. They had just released the deluxe Blu-ray, digitally remastered box set of all of my movies months before. An entire new younger generation saw those films on a 50-inch flat screen in Dad's man cave, and it was just too soon. And I think that it suffered by comparison.
But now let's talk about the restoration, how they have brought this film back to life for the home video market.
Ultra high definition.
This is the collector's edition. We got this from Amazon UK. The UK was the only place that you could pick this up. It comes in this sort of faux VHS clamshell box. It's got the Warner Brothers logo in the top corner. But even on the spine, the little horror thing, it's glossy.
I only have one minor complaint, and I knew it was going to happen. There was nothing I can do about it. They did a great job. It looks beautiful. I think New Line Cinema with Nightmare on Elm Street, not Warner Brothers.
Not Warner Brothers.
And I understand. That said, job well done. It looks incredible.
On the inside of the hard box, there is a steel book that comes with the original poster art, which is absolutely the only way to go here.
Aces.
I'm so glad they did that. It looks great. Again, there's some nice like reflective on the glove there. It looks awesome. Like this is the only way to go. No exception, in my opinion. On the inside too, there's like a pouch that gives you all like the paper stuff. And there's a certificate of authenticity, which actually was slid into the box, but I was able to slide it into this pouch here. Only 27,400 made, Russ. There's a really awesome poster. I really love the flip side. I love whatever this is. Is this Japanese? That's so cool.
I have no idea, but I've always loved that artwork as well.
And then the art cards, which you texted me immediately about, and that's because the very first one I saw, not only is it Ronnie Blakely, but it's her iconic look in her nightgown.
Dude, if there was an image that encapsulated everything we said, just sultry and sexy, and it's right there on that card, Matt.
It is. Where's the bottle? That's the only other thing we need. So we got her, we got Freddie, Heather, Johnny Depp, you got Tina from Better Off Dead, and then John Saxon. Overall, I was really, really impressed with this release. I'm so glad that they didn't drop the ball in the artwork. All the supplemental paper materials are great.
Did yours come in that nifty Warner Brothers box?
It did. It came in this.
I thought I was special when I received that. Like, wow, I guess maybe I ordered direct. And then I looked on the internet and saw everyone got that box.
We all got it. It's a nice touch. I don't know if this is just for this release or they're going to continue to do this. It definitely made me feel like when I opened this, it was going to be safe.
And it was.
As far as the transfer is concerned, it's been a while since I've seen this movie, and the last time I did was on DVD. I will say it looks clean as hell. It just looks so crystal clear. Clarity, color delineation, I don't know. It's not muddy looking. Like everything that you see in the background, you can see perfectly, not just clarity, but what its colors are and the hues of things. Just everything looks like fresh and vibrant and new.
I'll tell you, the scene to me that always blows me away is the elongated arm scene. I remember watching this scene as a child on a old school television VHS, and I'm not kidding, you could barely make out what the hell was going on back in the day. And when you watch it today, it's like, whoa, everything's not black, the background is blue. It looks beautiful. You see like reflections on the puddles, all this stuff that I promise you were not able to see like 20 years ago, man.
You would maybe think too that, bringing it into like a little bit more high definition quality would reveal, some like low budget thing or something that's like going on that maybe was hidden before. Everything here looks just as like nightmarish and strange as it should and feel. Darks look dark, but I was never lost in anything. Everything looks really clear when it needs to. John Saxon's toupee looks crisp in 4K.
Ultra high definition.
Well, outside of all of this stuff, you get the theatrical and the uncut version there. You get the remastered and the old school audio on there. A lot of archival stuff.
Regardless of what edition you get, pick it up.
Let them know you want that box set. That's what I'm waiting for. Thank you for watching this review. Take a look at some of our other reviews. We live stream every other week. We've got a lot more coming this way for the rest of the year, so stay tuned.
And whatever you do, always remember your hall pass. There are some mean hall monitors out there.